Chapter 1. The policeman put the key in the cell door, which woke Logan Weston and made him lift his head. "He's dropped the charges. You're free to go, Mr. Weston," said the sergeant. Logan was slightly dazed, as there was nothing better to do than lay back on the pathetic excuse for a bed. He slowly rose as the officer turned the key and swung open the cell door. The relief on Logan's face showed instantly, and the sergeant escorted him back to the booking counter. The officer at the desk handed Logan back his belongings, which were confiscated when he was officially arrested and brought in early that morning. The officer said, "I just saw your fight with Angus Masters on YouTube. Jesus, man, you landed the best uppercut I've ever seen. You definitely broke his nose." He handed Logan a ballpoint pen and motioned to a register book for him to sign. "Off the record, mate. Don't feel bad. Everyone is on your side, judging by the comments they're leaving online." The officer kept on talking, but Logan didn't have a clue what he was on about. He signed for his property, which included the stopwatch and black book he used on the track to record the gallop times. His new nickname will be Angus Grub Masters. First your wife and now he takes your horse. He is a grub. The officer took his pen back and placed it inside his top pocket. "You're free to go. You take care, Logan." Logan nodded his thanks and walked to the exit, not knowing that his life was about to change forever. All he had to do was open the door. The viral video of Logan Weston landing a beautifully timed uppercut on Angus Masters' nose had clicked over 456,000 views in the 5 hours since it had been uploaded. One of the racehorse trainers in the watchtower was filming a horse for his clients to view when he saw Logan make a beeline for Masters. He had heard the news just minutes before and knew there would be a confrontation and that it would not go down well. In the video, Masters puts his hand out in a gesture to say, "No hard feelings." Logan reaches for the handshake, steps in close, and suddenly grabs the back of Masters' head instead, then drives home an uppercut like a professional boxer. Angus Masters goes down for the count. The trainer who recorded the whole incident started the viral video epidemic by uploading it to YouTube. The video was quickly shared to Facebook, and the rest is history. Logan opened the thick oak door of the police station, and as soon as he saw daylight, he heard the cries. "Logan! Logan! Logan!" The press ambushed him with a bombardment of questions. Is it true the charges have been dropped? Is it true my Blue Boy has been sold and Angus Masters is his new trainer? How do you feel about this? 4 days out from the $4 million WS Cox plate. 20 reporters crowded around him, shoving recording devices and cameras at him. Logan was in shock, as he was not prepared for anything but a quiet walk home. One reporter jammed a recorder up to his face and said, "Angus Masters has now taken your horse, my Blue Boy, and your ex-wife. Can you comment on that, Logan?" Logan stood like a deer caught in headlights. Then he heard a familiar whistle, one he had known since he was a kid. And he spotted his best mate, Pete, across the road, signalling to him. Logan pushed straight through the reporters, not saying one word, and jumped in the front seat of Pete's F-truck. "What the hell is happening?" Logan asked, looking stressed, as Pete drove them away from the police station. "Why is the press chasing me? Because I smacked an arsehole in the nose like he fucking deserved?" Pete was always a lot calmer than Logan. "Just settle, man," he said reassuringly. "Relax for a second." Logan put his head back on the headrest and took a few deep breaths. In, then out. There was a pause, and Logan knew Pete's dry sense of humour was working on a comment. And sure enough, he quickly delivered. He held his nose closed with 2 fingers pinching the end and looked at Logan, mimicking how he thought Masters would have reacted. "Oh, asshole, you broke my fucking nose!" They both burst into tearful laughter. When they had caught their breath, Logan asked, "Where are we going?" "My place," Pete replied, "since I'm pretty sure your place will not be peaceful." Pete's wife Susie loved Logan like a brother. Pete had clued her up, and she had cooked up some steaks to have with buns and salad. The boys walked into Pete's house, and Susie gave Logan a big hug. She looked him in the eyes and said, "That arsehole deserved it." Pete grabbed the scotch decanter and poured 2 glasses. He gestured towards the back veranda, and they walked through the house to sit outside. There was silence for a minute before Pete couldn't hold out any longer. "What happened, man?" Pete, like everyone else, had only heard the rumours. Logan took 2 big gulps that emptied his glass. He waited for the burning to stop before he spoke. "I snapped. I lost my shit. Everything had been building and simmering for years anyway. Last night, Lex called and told me he'd just sold my Blue Boy for $4.5 million to James Smithfield." Susie walked out onto the veranda and handed both men their steak sandwiches. "Thank you, Susie," Logan said. As Susie went back inside, Pete continued his interrogation. He sold him. And you didn't know until you got that call? No bloody idea. 4 days out from the Cox Plate, said Logan. Pete sat quietly in utter shock. Logan had picked my Blue Boy out as a yearling and had won 5 starts with him, a Group 3, and his last start winning a Group 2. He was now equal third favourite for the Cox Plate. He can't do that to you, Logan, said Pete, gobsmacked at the truth. Well, he did. He sold him, Logan said sadly. And there is a big kicker in there as well for him if he wins the race. Lex told me last night. I simply had to cop it on the chin. Lex was good to his word when he bought the horse from me, that if ever a sale went down that I was on 5% of the sale price. It was in the signed contract. I was told James Smithfield was to call by 7 a.m. with who his new trainer was, and he had made it clear the horse would be moving. In the end, there's nothing I can do. Logan sounded like the wind had been knocked out of him. I said I would work him this morning, as it was his last bit of fast work for Saturday's race. All night I wondered who the new trainer would be. David Turner has 12 in work for Smithfield, so I guessed he was the number 1 pick. I was okay with that, as he'd be my pick if I had to give a horse to a rival trainer. But then I saw Smithfield and Masters walking over to the trainer's hut, together. Masters was showing his stopwatch to Smithfield with a huge grin from ear to ear. They had watched Bluey's gallop from the grandstands. I guess to hide from me. It was a winning gallop and he flew, but the rider was swinging to hold him from going faster. So, when I saw Smithfield, Masters and his foreman walking to the trainer's tower, and Masters with a smart-ass grin, I exploded. I knew Bluey's gallop was superb. In 15 years of training, Masters had been given so many great horses that his clients had purchased, and he'd always broken the best ones down. After they win the big ones for him, he doesn't care about the horse's future. So, as Bluey was heading back to the tie-up stalls after his gallop, I started to follow, and that's when I spotted them walking towards the hut. I realised then it was Masters who was behind the buy, as he had wanted to get in a lot bigger with Smithfield for years. When he saw me, he held his stopwatch up and tapped the glass, indicating a great gallop. He would have to be the most arrogant prick on this earth. I guess I snapped. He kept walking towards me, and as he got close, he put his hand out to shake my hand, as if it was all just business. I didn't even think about what I was going to do, and the next thing I knew, his foreman and 2 others had me pinned to the ground. That big bastard Alfie must weigh 140 kilos. I couldn't move. I heard, "You broke me fucking nose." And then Smithfield said, "You all saw it. Don't let him go. I've called the cops." I looked up and I saw his nose was crooked and pissing blood. By now, Pete's jaw was wide open. He paused before he said, "So you've lost your first ever runner in an Australian Major Group 1. Not forgetting that Masters also took the Dreamer after he won a Group 1 Toorak handicap for your father 10 years ago. Pete paused cautiously, questioning whether he should say what he was about to say. Logan seemed to know what was coming, and he subconsciously prepared. The 2 guys had grown up together, so there was no boundaries and no holding back the truth. Logan had braced for it, but it still hurt. "And the arsehole stole your wife as well." Ugh. 2 years ago, Angela, Logan's wife, had been caught having an affair with Masters. To rub salt into the wound, they now had a 9-month-old daughter, Matilda, together. "Has he got a vendetta against you or something?" Logan didn't get to respond as his mobile rang. He looked at it and turned his phone to Peter to show him the caller ID. It was the head Victoria Racing Club racing steward. "Fuck, it's Preston," he said. Logan took the call, which didn't last more than 2 minutes, and it was Preston who did the talking. Logan hung up, and Peter instantly said, "Well?" "They are pissed off. The YouTube video of the fight," he said, "is at 1.3 million views now and all over Facebook. And apparently the integrity of racing is at risk. I have to go in now to front the 4 stewards." Pete got up and piled their dishes to carry in. "Sure, mate, I'll drive. Let's go."